The thick, sharp stench of burning paper filled my lungs before I even reached the patio glass door. Sliding it open in a panic, I ran outside to see my mother standing over the crackling flames holding my bright red binder. Inside were my official college transcripts, hard-earned reference letters, scholarship applications, and carefully written essay drafts that I had spent endless nights perfecting. Before I could reach the pit, my father blocked my path, coldly informing me that college was far too expensive, and that we needed to save every available dollar for my older brother Rory. When I reminded him of my high test scores, he literally chuckled and declared that marks were not worth throwing away family money. Behind his shoulder, my mother unceremoniously dumped the final stack of my dreams into the fire. If you want to hear how this wild story unfolds, please take a second to subscribe to the channel right now. My brother Rory had already wasted a full-paid year at an expensive university before dropping out, but my parents were determined to bankroll his second attempt at my expense. Watching the ash rise into the chilly evening air, I realized my future was being erased to fund his mistakes. Dad warned me to stay back, but I darted around his arm and yanked a single scorched page out of the ember pile before it turned to dust. That charge sheet held a damaged list of my top university programs and their deadlines. I stared directly into my father's eyes, refused his command to drop it, and shoved the burnt paper deep into my jacket pocket. Over the next few weeks, I operated in complete secrecy while living under their roof like a ghost. I spent every spare hour after class utilizing school computers, meeting with my counselor for fresh documents, and rewriting every single essay from memory. My parents genuinely believed they had broken my spirit, completely unaware that I was setting up private online portals they could never track. They never once asked about my plans, assuming their cruel tactic had permanently crushed my academic ambitions. That quiet silence gave me all the stealth I needed to rebuild my entire future from scratch right under their noses. The family gathered at my late grandmother's home several months later for Thanksgiving dinner while her legal affairs were still being wrapped up. As we sat around the large dining table, the landline suddenly rang, breaking the heavy chatter across the room. Mom casually picked up the receiver, but her posture suddenly locked rigid the moment the caller identified secondary details. Within seconds, her face drained of all color as she questioned why the caller was asking about her son. Dad immediately stood up from his chair, his eyes wide with an intense anxiety I had never seen before. I quietly stepped away from the table and leaned against the doorframe just in time to hear Mom whisper that Kendra was only 18 years old. Dad hissed back that my grandmother had clearly hidden critical information from both of them during her final days. Before I could process that statement, Rory walked up beside me and asked what was happening. When I revealed that Mom had deliberately burned my application file so all resources would go to him, his face went blank with shock. He swore he had no idea, revealing that Grandma had once warned Dad that if he kept favoring one child, she would make sure I received something he could never steal away. Mom reappeared with a sharp demand for us to stop talking, holding a notepad with the name Victor Mercer and a phone number written on top. I memorized the digits, walked into the kitchen, and called the attorney directly. Mr. Mercer urgently requested to speak on speakerphone, so I placed my phone on the dining table in front of the whole family. Relatives went completely silent as Mr. Mercer introduced himself as the executor of my grandmother's estate, stating she had established a specific financial provision strictly for Kendra higher education. My parents stammered in shock, suddenly realizing their plan to use grandma money for Rory's second chance had completely failed. Promptly at 9 the next morning, we sat inside the formal conference room of Victor Mercer Law Firm. Mr. Mercer slid a primary document toward me, revealing an irrevocable educational trust valued at exactly $180,000. The attorney explained that my parents held zero authority over the capital, Rory could not touch a single cent, and the funds were protected by an independent trustee. To expose my parents' lies, I pulled the scorched college list from my purse and placed it right beside the official legal papers. Seeing the literal ashes of my sabotaged applications next to the trust documents stripped away every defense my parents had left. Months later, an official acceptance letter arrived from my top choice university, proving that my hard work had paid off despite my parents' betrayal. I placed that acceptance letter right next to the burnt list in my room, as a permanent reminder that my future belongs solely to me. Thank you so much for watching this story today. If you enjoyed this intense family drama and want to see more real emotional stories just like this, please make sure to click that subscribe button right now and turn on all notifications. Don't forget to check out the recommended video popping up on your end screen right now for another incredible story. Also, I would love to know where you are tuning in from, so please drop a comment down below and tell me which country you are watching this video from today.